Let's talk about all things happening in the world of sports. From the latest Saints moves to all that happens in college football, along with in-depth interviews and much more. It's time for Sports Chat with George Faust.
All right, welcome into Sports Chat. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Sports Chat. We've got a treat for all you fans of hockey out there. And especially local hockey. You know, in the early 1990s or mid-1990s, actually, Lafayette, Louisiana was a hub for hockey, and it was the Louisiana Ice Skaters, and it exploded hockey in the South. And it's really kind of just a crazy phenomenon that took place, and one of the guys who had a chance to experience that was this guy next to me. It's Louis Dumont, and Coach, player, GM, you did a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah. I really did.
I don't know if you ever actually coached, though, right? Like as a ECHL and SPHL, all that.
I did have to go in a couple games because of suspensions.
Yeah.
One of our coaches got suspended, so I had to.
Which one was that?
I think
Killer?
Both of them. Killer had to sit out a game, I think.
I love Killer.
Also Omacholi.
Drew.
So, Drew. So there was a time there where I had to just get up there and
be
do
a
my
coach.
best.
My
best I could.
So, first off, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Anything for you, George.
Absolutely, I love that.
You call
Thank
me,
you.
man.
No, yeah. One day we'll go play golf again.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We'll have to do that, and just as long as you promise me you don't pull out the fake snakes that you throw at me while we're playing. The last time we played golf together,
I lost that one. So
you lost that one. But I'm sure you have you seen there's one where it's like it's tied to a club, and the guy goes to pick up his club, and he's like, and it can't because it's tied to the club.
Or they pin it to his shirt.
Oh yeah,
and he
yeah.
thinks the things. Yeah, those get out of hand.
Yeah,
I've seen some of those videos. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have done that to anybody. No, that's brutal.
Well, so what he did was I went and teed off, I guess, and then it came back to the cart, and on the side of the cart was a snake, and I looked at I stepped on it, and I was shocked, and I started jumping up and down. It was a rubber snake.
Man, I gotta find that video somewhere.
It pops up on my Facebook all the time.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. If it comes up again, I'll.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, we had a good time playing some golf there. When you look at just what a that was such a good time, and when you hearken back to stuff. With regards to the ice skaters and the hockey, let's start there as we kind of bring it into, I guess, a little more regular course here. When you were with the ice skaters, what years did you play for the ice skaters? And
I played here season 2, 3, and 4 of the original ice skaters. It was 96, 97 was that first season, and then obviously played the 97, 98, and then 98, 99 season. And left after that. So I had actually been in the league for 2 years prior up in Wheeling, West Virginia.
All right.
Well, technically, I started in Tallahassee with the Tiger Sharks. They were an inaugural team in 96 or 90, 94, 95. And I got there, and the coach in Wheeling knew me because his sister's family was my billet family when I played junior hockey.
Oh, okay.
So he traded for me after 5 games. I was in Tallahassee for 5 games and got traded to Wheeling. So I went literally from hanging out with Florida State students to West Virginia, which was, listen, I enjoyed my time in West Virginia, but Florida State was a lot of fun. I talked with the guys afterwards. So, yeah, I went from Tallahassee to Wheeling. Which Wheeling was affiliated with Montreal and Edmonton Oilers at the time.
Oh, wow, cool.
We had a lot of contract guys on the team. I was a free agent, obviously. So I played in Wheeling for 2 years, and one of the players on the original Ice Skaters told me that we played a game against each other, and he said, "Man, you really need to come down to Lafayette." And I'm like,
"What?
Why would I want to go down there? They don't know anything about hockey. It's all this other kind of thing." And the next year, I had a tryout at the AAA level in Baltimore, and I got released from Baltimore, and the GM called me and said from Wheeling and said, "Hey, I got your flight to Wheeling." I said, "You know what? I'd like to get traded somewhere in the South." And typical minor pro GMs, no one wants you, kid. It's going to be hard to trade you. And I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I'll go home and I'll wait. So literally 2 days later, the coach, Doug Shedden, had called me at my house in Canada and said, "Hey, if I trade for you, will you come down here?" I said, absolutely. So I flew from Edmonton to Minneapolis to Lafayette. To Memphis. I can't remember the route out of Lafayette. Yeah. So I flew into Lafayette on a Saturday night, took a cab from the airport to the Cajun Dome. The team was currently playing an exhibition game against Jacksonville at the time, and it was a closed game, no fans allowed. I don't know why. I still don't know why they had a closed exhibition game.
Interesting. Yeah.
None of the fans.
Especially at that point, they could have made a ton of money.
Because the season before, they were averaging
11,000,
10,000 fans.
Right.
So I watched the rest of the game, throw all my stuff on these white vans they had, bringing players back and forth from hotel to Cajun Dome. Our hotel was at the Shoney's Inn on Evangelist Thruway and I-10.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about City of Lafayette, never been, so I was hungry. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'll walk to the Albertsons in the Northgate Mall at 10 o'clock at night, which later on they told me, you shouldn't walk at night. You don't know the town. So, but that was my first night. And the next day we had a Sunday exhibition game against Jacksonville. I played, and great game. I had 7 points, which it was crazy. Dan O'Rourke, who's now NHL official, he scored 3 goals that game, and it was a fun time. That was the kickoff.
So so you played here till 99, you said?
Till 99, yeah.
So you were here, and then you went to Mississippi?
I left here, actually signed a contract to play in the British Super League.
Oh, okay.
So I went, my wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time, signed a contract, played in Scotland. We were the only team in Scotland. So we played against London, Manchester, Nottingham, Newcastle, Cardiff. They had a team in Wales, and played there. Didn't really care for it too much. It was fun away from the rink. My wife and I went and did all kinds of things. She said, if you want to bring your clubs, you can play golf, but for every golf course you play, you got to bring me to a castle. So we didn't have kids. Yeah. So it was a great trade-off for me because there was a lot of castles, a lot. And ruined castles, whatever. Didn't have just whatever. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun to go there. So I actually went to Scotland, and then halfway through the season came back, and the Ice Gators had my rights still. So they let me actually pick where I wanted to go. So I picked Augusta, and they made a trade with Augusta, and I went to Augusta, and Augusta was last place in their division at the time, and we ended up making playoffs and beating the number 1 team in the league. The first round, because back then they seeded it like 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7.
Sure.
So it didn't matter, where the geography was. You just played,
played hockey, played against the best, best worst, whatever seed.
Yeah. No matter where it was. So we won that series, and so I spent 2 years in Augusta, and then
did you ever play the Masters?
No,
go to the Masters.
I went. So it's funny because it was during playoffs.
I heard Augusta's thought of that, so sorry.
I played Augusta Country Club a couple times, which borders the National. And it's a great course in its own right. But once you're there in Augusta, I'm not going to advertise this, but people were offering tickets. And so, like, people that I'd meet, hey, I got an extra ticket. And with the Masters tickets, you have to use the ticket. If you get your seasonal ticket and you just don't go for some reason, you lease your house out and you go vacation, Masters will take away, at least this is what it was like in the early 2000s.
Back then. Yeah.
They would take your tickets away from you.
Yeah.
So when the people gave you the tickets, say, make sure you go, because when they scan that ticket, they're going to know that you went. So I went to a Thursday round in 2000 and walked all day long. And this course is amazingly hilly that you don't appreciate on TV. I get home, and my wife says, hey, your agent called. You need to call him. So I called my agent, and he's like, hey, Lowell in the American League needs a forward, and they want to call you up. And we had lost out the night before in the playoffs in Augusta. So I had walked all day Thursday. So I'm on a flight to Boston, play that Friday night. And I was exhausted, but adrenaline, playing at the higher level, it was good and it was fun. So that was a quick time. And I had tickets to go back to Friday. My wife went. Yeah. My wife got to go a bunch the 2 years I was there because I couldn't because we were in playoffs. We lost to New Orleans.
Yeah. The Brass?
Yeah, the Brass.
Okay.
And the Wednesday night, actually, we were playing at home against New Orleans in Augusta, and we lost that game, obviously. But Joe LaCava, the caddy for Fred Couples at the time, and Davis Love III came to our game and stood along the glass where the Zamboni came on and off. And I saw him, and that's so cool, right? Mm. Well, the next day when I was watching, Joe LaCava, the caddy for Couples, brought a bottle of water to Fred's wife at the time because she was following him, and I was following Fred because I'm a big Fred fan.
Gotcha.
And I said, "Hey, Joe, you liked the game last night?" He goes, "Yeah, but you lost, man." So it was kind of a cool little story there. And but yeah, I enjoyed my time in Augusta. Went from Augusta to, they brought a new coach in, and there's always a regime change, players change. So they gave me, and I always worked into my contract after the Ice Gators that, hey, I want to be a free agent at the end of every year so that I can, work my options. So I signed with Pensacola and played 2 years in Pensacola, which I love Pensacola. I mean, we lived on the beach. I had a great season. I led this season in scoring that year in the league, my first year in Pensacola. And
that's ECHL, right?
ECHL, East. And at that time, it was called East Coast Hockey League, but they have since dropped the East Coast Hockey League because we took in a whole Western League at one point after that. So they just call it ECHL now.
Okay.
And it's pretty much works just like baseball now, where you got NHL, you got American League, which has the AAA, and then the ECHL is the AA. So it's a farm system that works very well to get players, up and down.
Do they have now affiliates? Like if you play for, Mississippi, you're connected to Dallas or Pensacola.
Yeah. They've really become more of a recruiting league.
It wasn't always like that though. No. Like back, the Ice Gators were not affiliated with anybody right off the bat.
They were not.
I think at some point the Wild of Minnesota
Wild and Toronto both had an affiliation tie, like an actual contract affiliation tie with the Ice Gators.
Okay.
Toronto was first because that's how we got Doug Bonner, the goalie. He was under contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we got him. And that was a relationship Doug Shedden had with the Maple Leaf organization.
Okay.
So that worked out well for us.
So that didn't happen, like, for a long time. That wasn't the case with regards to the league of how that works. Now they figured out, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe we should actually do that, and run it kind of like baseball. You're saying
exactly like baseball, because a lot of times when a player is not a blue chip person that's going to play up right away, the contracts are the three levels of contract they'll sign. They'll sign a contract if you play in the NHL, you make. Back then, let's say they would have made league minimum $800,000, $900,000, and then your American League contract would have been for like $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, and then the ECHL was dropped you way down to the ECHL because the league minimum when I first started was $325 a week, which wasn't a lot of money.
No.
Now they took care of everything as far as your apartment, they paid for your living. I mean, you had to buy your own food, but they paid for place to stay and everything. So
yeah, and I know like early on for the Ice Skaters, they didn't have to pay much for food. They could go anywhere in this town and get food.
No,
they'd be like, let's go to Smitty's or whatever it was, whatever the post game party was.
They places wanted us to go to their place. So what happened was we at Ray Sports Bar we were given $250 a month to food or drink. Pete's Sports Bar was $250 a month, and then Poets, it was at Pinhook and Hollis,
the nightclub or
Poets. We had $400 a month, so we had $900 a month to eat and go out and drink.
What a great little perk of the job, right?
And we got to play golf for free. I mean, everything was, my daily life was get up, go to practice,
Hit the course,
eat lunch, play golf, and then go out at night, earlier in the week.
Wow,
now,
that sounds like a tough life. Man.
Thursday, that's why I tell my wife, I said, I lived like I was retired early, and now I'll work.
Now you're working hard.
I'll work
Monday through
forever.
Friday.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, man. The people were so nice here.
Yeah.
They really took us in. Everybody. I mean, we had no issues for the most part with local guys. They welcome us. They didn't see us as competition. They were just, everybody was good to us. Guys didn't get into trouble at night. Now, so they had some incidents here and there, but for the most part, it was a really good community to come with. They took us in like no other place I've ever seen in North America.
Yeah. All right. So, Louis, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We'll talk some more. Talk a little bit about, because I mean, I don't know if people realize now that how good of a hockey player you were. I mean, and because you're an ECHL Hall of Famer, so let's talk a little bit about that. And you got to brag on yourself a little bit, because I don't know everything that happened for you in your career. So we'll touch a little bit on that, what that was like to be inducted into the ECHL Hall of Fame. To be in any Hall of Fame is pretty cool. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do all of that when we return on Sports Chat.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
And welcome back to Sports Chat. We are chatting with Louis Dumont. He's a former Louisiana ice skater, also just an all-around good dude who had the availability to come chat with us and talk a little bit about. I thought it would be cool to kind of, Stanley Cup playoffs are getting revved up, and I used to always have Coach Killer Kaminsky, Kevin. He would always come on with me, and we'd break down the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it was something that because we still had the hockey here, it was relevant, I thought, and people enjoyed seeing. I mean, he played in the NHL, so they enjoyed seeing his kind of take, and I thought it was just a cool thing. So we always had fun with it, and so Stanley Cup's right around the corner. You're a hockey guy, so let's talk quickly about that. I don't know a whole lot about it. I saw the season wrapped up last night, and who's the favorites? I mean, who do you like in this postseason with regards to the Stanley Cup?
I think you have to if you have to bet $1, you'd have to bet on the Colorado Avalanche. They're pretty strong out the Western Conference. The Oilers are my favorite. They've been my favorite since Gretzky, and I was a Gretzky guy because I was a little kid around that area when Gretzky was popular. And then in the East, you got to look at either Tampa or Carolina or something like that. There might be a dark horse somewhere come in, but the Colorado Avalanche they won the regular season championship as far as the points in the standings. So they're the ones to really watch. But anything can happen. It's exciting. I mean, the playoffs they're 4 rounds of best of 7. It's a lot of people talk about how even non-hockey people say how difficult it is to go through that gauntlet and win a championship in the NHL. It's a tough deal.
Yeah, and so I know a lot of people around here like Dallas because it's a close proximity.
Dallas is another.
They're right
one.
under Colorado in the standings.
I would say Dallas. If Dallas won it all, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
If it came down to the Western Conference, it'd be probably Dallas and Colorado. And as long as my team is in, I'm all for them. But if they're out, I like to cheer local. So I'll be on the Stars bandwagon if the Oilers are out. So I'd love to see the locals win.
Yeah, and it's funny because Dave Farish, who was the coach of the ice skaters for a few years. I forget. I just remember we would always run back and grab sound from him, and then he was part of a couple of Stanley Cup champion teams. Who did he? I forget. It was out west.
Yeah,
he coached with
Anaheim.
Anaheim. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. Yeah. So
he
was an assistant with Anaheim when they made a little run there.
Yeah, he went on to have a pretty good career in the NHL after the Ice Skaters. He came here and they didn't win a championship, but he took them to regular season championships and he won a lot of games. And then he went to Pensacola, did the same thing there, and then got a shot in the NHL. And Dave, I think he may be retired. I don't know where he went this season, but great coach. He was good for the Ice Skaters when he came here.
Yeah, I just remember great. They lost a game, and the Ice Skaters did, and I think it was to Pensacola because they used to play like all the time. Like every third game was against Pensacola. I guess the travel was easy, right down I-10. But and I go back and I'm hustling. I'm trying to get back to the studio because the game ends at 9:15, and I'm run back there and I'm interviewing. I interviewed a couple of players, and then he held the way he did it. He held his press conference in his office, like post game. And back then, we'd stay and get post game. We sometimes you did, so if timing worked out. Anyway, that particular day, it was a playoff game, and I remember I ran back in there, and I'm shooting I'm by myself, and I'm the only one. And me and I think maybe Kevin Foote were in there, so maybe a newspaper guy, whoever it was. I asked him a question. I said, "Man, what happened? It seems like you guys had control of this game until that late part of the third period." He gave me the best soundbite that I could not use. It was so good, and I can't say it now because it had some colorful language. But he goes, "George, that's what happens when it's effing 5-on-3 the whole night. When it's 5-on-3." Insert expletives right there, but it was such a raw and natural, emotional reaction soundbite. I was like, "Can I use that? Can I bleep it?" I said, "You know what? I'm bleeping it." So I ran it, but I bleeped it. I just bleeped it. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear it. It was like beep.
That's great. I'd like $1 for every time I saw you back in the day running in and out of sporting events with a camera.
Did you really? Is that a
High
true
school
statement?
football,
Oh yeah,
hockey.
Yeah,
I mean,
it happens. You gotta love local sports TV. It's phenomenal. Yeah. It's the most exhausting and rewarding thing all at the same. It's kind of like when you're part of a team and. Yeah. You're doing your thing and you're putting out all your my favorite was always when we did specials. Like if we did like for the golf tournament, Louisiana Open Extra. There was nothing like that until I got here. And when I got here in 2002, the next year, 2003, we started I moved into sports full time, and we started Louisiana Open Extra. And that was basically a 15-minute show specifically on the Louisiana Open, and that was the web.com, Nike Tour, whatever you want to call it. Corn Ferry, whatever.
I loved going to see that. That was such a, and I heard from a lot of people, and there was a player I had met too. It was their favorite stop.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame we don't have it anymore.
I know.
Because a lot of players, they just loved it. The hospitality, the food, just everything about it was cool. But I got to see that wind would blow in March too. Oh my! I saw Casey, the guy who tried to petition to ride.
The Tiger Woods college roommate.
Yeah. Casey Martin.
Martin, maybe. Yeah.
I saw
the one
him,
with the knee issue, so he he wanted a golf cart to take him around.
Yeah. And I saw him on number 7, it's a long par 5. The wind was at his back. He hit a driver wedge into a par 5. It's just that was a great tournament.
Yeah, you and I could talk golf stories all the time because Danny Jones, who was the executive director of the Chittimacha, Louisiana Open back in the day, he did a phenomenal job of making sure the talent was top. At least there was some talent that people would recognize, and whether it's one or two guys, but good enough. When they had John Daly. Do you remember that?
No.
Did you know that? John Daly played the Chittimacha, Louisiana Open. And I'm interviewing John Daly second day. It's, the pro-ams, they're practicing, whatever. And I'm talking to John Daly, and I said, do you think you have a shot to win this tournament? I mean, you're long enough to win this tournament. And he's like, yeah, but let me tell you how it's going to go. He goes, I'm gonna play really well the first day. The second day, I'm gonna play really well for about 10, 11 holes, and then it's gonna all disappear. He said, that's where my game is right now. I said, what? And sure enough, he gets to that little par 3, 11, in 10, or is it 11? No, it's 11.
11.
Little par 3
Yep.
at Le Triomphe. And I think he bogeyed that. And no, it's 12. 12. He got to 12, the par 5. He goes into the water on the left side. And ends up bogeying that, and then Gator's Jaw, 13. And I was like, I was following him because it was John Daly. You got to follow John Daly. And so I was like, I don't believe this. He actually predicted, and he missed the cut.
He did?
He missed the cut.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Gator's Jaw, I heard one time when that was on tour, it was the hardest par 4 scoring on the tour.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. You're right about the hospitality and the players all saying that, because that was the crawfish corn mock shoe. Everybody talked about that. I remember Julian Echelin, who won the tournament one year. I'm not sure exactly where he's from, but he he came in and he was talking about he's like, I need that. Where's that crawfish etouffee? That's what he wanted that. For the on the pro-ams, they cook it all in a big pot. And so you're right about that. They all looked forward to it. And I think what was really the coolest thing about that tournament was that it was the first stop in the United States. They would play in Puerto Rico, and they would play somewhere else, maybe Mexico or something like that. But anyway, they'd play internationally, and then they'd come. The first stop in the States was in Broussard. So, so that they always enjoyed being being the first one. It was a great kickoff to get the U.S. tour started.
Oh, it's crawfish season. Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. So anyway, so a lot of those guys, Larry Mize, I got to interview Larry Mize. Really? Like, what? 1987 Masters champ? Are you kidding me?
We had a lot of Canadians on that tour too.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Dave Barr.
I think Mike Weir played on.
Yeah, I think he did too. Yeah, there were 3 or 4 pretty good name Canadians had done pretty good on that tour.
Yeah.
Dave Barr was on the backside of his career when he came down here to play it, but because he was PGA for a while. But yeah, it was a good time. I wish we had it still.
Yeah, well, me too. It was one of my favorite things to cover, and it wasn't because it was easy. It was covering a golf tournament that's not on TV. I don't think people realize how hard that is, because John Daly's on imploding on number 12. Well, if you're not at 12 already, you got to hustle to get out there. And so and then they wouldn't give you a cart, so you had to run over to 12, or you have to wait for somebody to come give you a cart to drive you there. Either Kavan or Dan would come and give you Kavan Bordelon or Dan McDonald would come with their cart, and they'd take you wherever you needed to go. Hey, Brett Wetterworth's making a push on the back 9. You better get out there. And so we'd all hop in the cart and go to the
And now that tour has got cameras every hole, probably 10 cameras on every hole. Because I know sometimes I don't know if Craig Perks does any of those. I know Craig does Thursdays and Fridays a lot of time for Golf Channel.
Yeah.
I see him walking in my neighborhood sometimes, and hey, big fan still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, when he he used to do a radio show around here too. Back in the day as well. Yeah. So. A lot of that's exciting. I didn't expect that we go on a golf tangent, but you and I both like golf. So, but let's steer it back to hockey, where a couple of years back, I don't know exactly how many you might know, but you were inducted into the ECHL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you have to be retired from playing for I think 3 or 4 years, and after I had been retired 3 or 4 years, the ECHL had contacted me and said, hey, listen, we're inducting you into the ECHL Hall of Fame with, I think, 3 other players and some builders, and then they do different categories. And luckily for me, that year it was in Orlando. They do it at the All-Star game. Okay. Is when they do the induction.
Okay.
So you go to the All-Star game, you get to enjoy the festivities, and then they have a thing for the Hall of Fame induction. and it was in Orlando. My kids were little, so it was perfect. We did the Disney thing, knocked that out. We, did the all that. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. They really put on. The ECHL has become an amazing league. It's grown now. It's the AA affiliate for the NHL. While I played, we even brought in a players association, which to have it at that level was unheard of. But we wanted to protect the players and their rights. And sometimes there's some teams that didn't do the right thing. They'd bring a player in and make him sleep on a couch in an apartment for a month, and in a 2-bedroom apartment where there's already 2 guys. So we tried to clean things up to where it was, all parallel across the league. So, but the ECHL Hall of Fame was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
So this is the part where you have to brag on yourself a little bit because stat-wise, what was your – Give me some most goals, what assists, what were your points? Because in hockey, you get a point for an assist, right? You get a point for a goal.
Second assist, you get a point. It's worth a point. I hold the most points career in the ECHL. I think it's 8 something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I also hold the most assists.
Okay,
and I believe I'm 3rd in all-time goals. And I think maybe 3rd or 4th in games played. So I did spend 13 full seasons in the ECHL. So that was a good. I led the league in scoring one year when I played for Pensacola. Really enjoyed offensively playing for the Ice Gators. One year I scored 41 goals. My first year with Ice Gators. That was the year when my old GM said no one wanted me. So I had something to prove. And I led the Ice Gators in goal scoring that year. Because we had a stacked team, it was. I really enjoyed the ECHL. The model it fit me, the fans, how passionate they were in the South, and really took off once I did come down here. Because after Pensacola, I spent 2 years in Biloxi, and really liked Biloxi. Going back for my 3rd year in Biloxi, but Katrina had hit.
Okay.
And it was funny because they had mailed my contract. We had agreed to a contract. It was in the mail. Spent the off season in Eunice, and it was the Monday morning after Katrina, because I think it was Sunday night when everything was happening. Sure. And my wife, I get the mail. She's like, "Yeah, don't sign that contract." I said, "Well, why?" I said, "They're going to clean it up and we'll play in October." She says, "No, you need to watch this." Literally, a casino barge had been lifted at the surge, and it dropped it on the front of a Holiday Inn next to the Biloxi Coliseum. So they're like, I'm like, yeah, you're right. They're not going to be,
There's no season.
The casino or the Coliseum, I think, took on 15, 16 foot of water. And protocol was to drop the scoreboard down to the floor for the hurricane. And so when the water went in, it destroyed the scoreboard. If they'd have kept the scoreboard up,
it'd have been fun.
It would have to replace it. So, wow. I really, I was always an offensive player. Even in junior hockey, I scored 62 goals one year, and my last season I was traded to the Kamloops Blazers, which were making a run in the playoffs. And on that team, we had, 2 NHL Hall of Famers. Shane Doan with Jerome McGinley. They were younger. They were little younger guys on the team. They turned out to be, amazing players and go on, and they're NHL Hall of Famers. So I played with the really good players there. We won the national championship in junior, and then that's when I ended up coming to the ECHL.
Gotcha.
I had started actually in Germany. Didn't like it my first year pro. This is a long first season. I signed a contract to Germany out of junior hockey. Played there. I realized, man, I didn't give North America a shot. Came back, went to Calgary, played for the Canadian national team. This is prior to the Olympics allowing pros to play. So I was on the Canadian national team, which would have been on the Olympics. It wasn't an Olympic year.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
but I was there for a month, and the NHL had a lockout in '94. So they took players there, some of their prospects, and they put them on that Canadian national team. So I got let go. I had to go, started in Tallahassee, went to Wheeling. And then when I was in Wheeling, they were supposed to film a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie in Pittsburgh and it was a hockey movie.
Uh-huh.
And NHL was locked out, so the players couldn't be in that movie. The AAA level Players Association wouldn't allow that. So they had our team to go pose as the Chicago Blackhawks and the Johnstown Chiefs to pose as the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we went to Pittsburgh one day and played in the Igloo, which was the Pittsburgh's arena at the time. And they said, just play like it's exhibition. We had authentic jerseys, everything. And we played,
Wow.
And they had fans in the bottom bowl. The top area was filled with cardboard cutouts, thousands of them. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah.
And we filmed the movie Sudden Death. Didn't meet Van Damme. He wasn't there because they had filmed, I guess, his other parts.
So can you see you?
Yeah. So back then you had to wait until the movie came out. So we went to the theater, and in the filming process, I scored 2 goals.
Nice.
So one of the goals made it.
Oh, come on.
In the movie. I scored Chicago's second goal in the movie. And
Awesome.
I
got to go watch this movie now.
I'm on the ice for the anthem. So you can see me standing there for the anthem, and I take the opening face off. I'm Rich Sutter as the NHL player, one of the Sutters. And they pump smoke in. They're explaining to us that there's a lot of smoke in the air. It's for atmosphere when they film. I don't know movie magic.
Yeah, sure.
But it was pretty cool, and to see that they took the clips, the B-roll, I guess.
So, like, if you go watch the movie, I mean, that goal is in the movie, and you're the one that scored the goal.
It's very split second. You could pause it on my face, on the opening face-off. You could tell it's me. I didn't wear a visor back then, and it was a pretty cool experience.
That's awesome.
They paid us all $500 for the day.
Yeah,
and it was cool. And people ask me, "Is the movie great?" I said, "Yes." I mean, Van Damme's a fire marshal in the movie.
Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
You're not going there for the plot.
The vice president is in the owner's suite in the movie, and someone they take him on as some bad people come in the building and try and they want money, or else they're going to kill the vice president.
And what's it called? Sudden
death.
Sudden death.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it was fun. So yeah, that was my
stuff.
highlight in my first year. So my first year I was to Germany, Canada, Florida, West Virginia, and I did get called up to the AAA for a weekend. I went up and played with the Syracuse Crunch, which was a Vancouver affiliate in the American Hockey League. So I had a little stint up there. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. That's some good stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
Look, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do a lot more. We'll talk a little bit more. I want to talk about specifically the hockey when you got down here, and why you think the hockey here succeeded for as long as it did. I mean, it went about 10 years, and the first 5 I'd say were unbelievable. And so we'll talk about that when we come back as we roll on here on Sports Chat. Don't go away. Much more coming up.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
Welcome back to Sports Chat. Louis Dumont, former ice skater, and you also wore the hat of general manager for the Ice Skaters for a little while. That was after the playing career.
Yep.
And that's when you brought in was it Kevin, and then Drew, or
Kevin Kaminsky was here a season before I retired to come back to be the general manager.
Okay.
Yeah, I came back in 2011, and Killer had coached 10-11, season 2010-2011. And actually, Killer was my coach the prior year in Memphis, Mississippi.
The River Kings.
So I knew Kevin well. And the way it worked out was I told him that I was retiring from playing. And he said, man, we may need a general manager here in Lafayette. So I had worked in the office in the off season with the team up in Mississippi, doing advertising and learning the business side of hockey. Really, the 5 years that I was there, because I had a 5-year contract with them. And when I came here, I met I knew the owner were the father son Chuck Anselmo.
Yep.
And Chuck. What's funny, Chuck Jr. was the dad because he was a junior. And so they hired me to come in as a general manager, and Killer was here, so it was a very comfortable transition to come back and run the team on everything. I mean, the business side and overseeing the hockey part with Killer, recruiting players and everything like that too. So that was great. And it wasn't what it was back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
But the ownership here was very good. We had their support for everything. I mean, they kept it going for quite a while. And even though it wasn't what it was with 11, 12,000 fans in the Cajun Dome, we still put on a pretty good show and had the support.
Yeah, and that's the kind of leads into my next question is, why do you think it was so successful in 95, 96, 97, even the first game I came to, I think it was probably 98, and I didn't know a lick about the ice skaters, didn't know that they existed, but my wife's family had tickets, and they were like, hey, you want to go to the ice skaters game? I said, yeah, sure. I'm thinking minor league hockey. It's probably like minor league baseball. People scattered all over, whatever. Came in, there were 7,000 people in 1998 watching a hockey game in Lafayette, Louisiana. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. And then scored a goal, and then hey, and the Gator chomp happens, and I'm like, this is unreal. This is awesome, Yeah. And so my question is then this. What was what happened? Was it just I don't know. You tell me what happened.
I have maybe some concrete theories and my own little theory.
Uh-huh.
When it was on the when it was at its prime, there was the combination of it was still somewhat new, right? I think that the physical aspect of it, you can drink a beer, watch a couple of guys fight, and people learned quickly though that it wasn't a staged thing like a WWE wrestling. It was not that at all. And a lot of people thought this can't be real. Two grown men just gonna fight it out, bare knuckle fight. They thought this is scripted. It's got to be. It's just too crazy. And when they learned that this was real deal and people were mad and you had your rivalries and stuff, I think that was a big part of it as well. And Lafayette, it's a very they get on something new when it comes to town, and they go all in. There's no other place I've ever been to where people go all in on something, whether it's a new restaurant, a new store, a new team even. So everybody was there. To me, what hurt the South, at least the teams here, was the fact that the ECHL went to a model of they just wanted young players who were going to be maybe going up to play, prospects. They wanted all prospects on the team. So once they started meeting players like me or Don Parsons or John DePork or anybody, when those people fell in love with the players, if that player got traded or let go, then they lost that connection, I think. And we all had our little groups of people that, they had a rule in the ECHL at the time. I was here my first year, and I had 41 goals, and there was, I think, 6 games left in the regular season, 5 or 6 games. It was a Florida road trip, and Doug Shedden came to me and said, you can't play the rest of the regular season. I said, why? He goes, because the ECHL had a rule. If you play 200 pro games or more, you could only have 4 of those guys on your team. So I was going to break the 200 game barrier. So the next season I would have been considered a veteran. We had so many good players that maybe I wasn't going to be one of the 4. And I didn't want to leave Lafayette. So Shedden says, we already were going to be in the playoffs, great positioning in the playoffs and stuff. He says, I'm gonna sit you out so that you're at 199 going into your 4th season. So that's another thing is where they got rid of. You had to get rid of a player that was maybe very popular because, fans like all levels of players. The fighter, they love the goalie, they love the goal scorer, they like the everything.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, the ECHL going in the way of just prospects where a guy would maybe get sent down from the AAA down here for 5 games and then up, the fans really couldn't come with a good relationship connection. And I think that's what they lost. I mean, I was eating gumbo in somebody's carport the first week I was here. I mean,
Right.
where would you go?
That doesn't happen everywhere. That didn't happen in Scotland.
No, and don't get me wrong.
No, I get it.
People are nice everywhere you
Right.
go.
No, I get it.
It's different here.
Right.
It's very
There's a little more welcomeness, hospitality. Kind of hits a new level.
It does, but I knew this when I was a young guy. Back in Alberta, oil fields big, and a lot of people would come from Nova Scotia and Newfoundland because we had work. In the Maritimes, you're on a big rock. You're either in fisheries or forestry, but they don't have oil field jobs. And those guys would come. These young men would come, and they worked hard, like the hardest workers. That's why they would hire them. But they also like to have a really good time. And so I knew this as a kid. And when I came down here to play and I met the people of Acadiana, I'm like, these are the same people. It's in their DNA. It's the same people. And sure enough, and the more I got to know people here, it's like the people from Nova Scotia, that came down here, they haven't lost that, which is really cool because we all know how unique this area is.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, that's the one part about it. I just feel that they lost a lot of fans that their favorite player they had for 2 years had to leave for no reason other than he had too many games pro, too much experience. Yeah. So that, to me, that hurt a little bit because the Southerners love the connection with the players.
Exactly.
Even when the Swamp Cats came in, I met a couple guys on the Swamp Cats. I'd go watch their games, and you have that connection. I had a beer with this guy, and I'm watching him play, this sport that's entertaining. So that part of it, I think that they lost it a little bit over time.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it's funny because you hear it all the time, right? We're so hospitable here, but to hear it from somebody who's lived in as many places as you have and experienced it, it really kind of makes it legitimate. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's not made up. It's not a made up Cajun thing. It's real.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, we're gonna take one more break, and then we're gonna come back and wrap up the show and just put a bow on this great present that we've given Acadiana and the world with regards to this Sports Chat podcast. Don't go away. We got more after this.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
Welcome back into Sports Chat as we wrap things up with Louis Dumont. And I didn't realize, you played a lot of places, so I didn't realize you were all over the world in Germany, Scotland. Yeah. You did a lot of things. That's pretty cool. So wearing many hats as well. You're GM, and now you like Lafayette so much you stayed. And what are you up to now?
Well, my wife is from Eunice, so when I retired, I knew we would be coming back to this area, and I worked with Crescent Crown Distributing here in Lafayette. We're actually across the whole bottom part of the state, New Orleans, all the way across to Lake Charles. And I run a sales team. I'm a bulk district manager, and I have 5 salespeople that take care of all the large grocery stores with products that they need from us. We sell everything from Miller Lite, Coors Light to Snapple to even Buffalo Trace bourbon. So we handle a lot of different products for the Rouses and the Walmarts and the Albertsons of the world. So that's what I do now. I enjoy it. Crescent Crown was a really good sponsor of ours when I was running the hockey team. So when we closed the team in 2016, I got a position with Crescent Crown and haven't looked back, and I love it. I'll be with them 10 years this July.
Okay. Yeah. And that you were playing golf the other day when I called you once. We need to get out to the course. You got to invite me.
Yeah, you and I need to go play with a couple others.
We can make that happen for sure. Well, Louis, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Really do appreciate you spending this time and kind of walking down memory lane. It's really cool to discuss that, and we talk about we hit it all today, man. Yeah. We hit it all. So thanks so much for spending some time with us right here on Sports Chat. That's going to do it for this episode of Sports Chat with me, George Faust. We'll see you next time.